What's up, guys? It is John from Side Hustle Experiments. Today's video, we're gonna break down how I was able to do $120,000 in sales in the month of December. Biggest month in my career selling on Amazon. I've sold over $1 million on Amazon since I first started this whole thing. And on this channel, I focus on helping you guys make money selling on Amazon. So if you're into that, please like the video, please subscribe. And I just launched a Discord. So if you're into that, there'll be a link down below, FBA Inner Circle. There's probably close to 500 people in there right now. It is a blast. I wish I started a Discord earlier. Totally free, link below. Let's just get into it. So December, did 120,000 in sales, totally blown away. I was actually hoping to do 100,000 and yeah, was able to do 120. Just crazy. It really opened my eyes to the possibilities on Amazon. I don't know. I figured I'd hit 100K eventually, but now I kind of see the path forward. So how did this even all happen? So one thing, I shopped smart. So I went through all the inventory I've bought throughout the entire year, downloaded it from Inventory Labs, went back through all of it, saw if it's still profitable or not, how much I made on it, how much it got returned, all that kind of stuff. Took the most profitable stuff, went to see if I could still buy it and if it was profitable. A lot of the stuff I tend to buy on sale. So I was basically taking these ASINs and like, okay, when this ASIN goes on sale, this is what we're gonna buy. And I basically just went through all the data. Luckily, it was a lot easier because I do have history with some of these products. So I was able to go somewhat deep on them. There were some things that throughout the year I sold, I don't know, maybe 100. So I ended up buying like 200, 300 of those. And I was being able to be confident enough that, you know what, if, you know, it worked out well during the year, prices are going to be higher during Q4. Historically, they were at the Keepa and just in general, and it really worked out for me. To kind of pile on top of that, a lot of these big stores or stores in general were announcing sales. So they'd be like, next week, we're gonna start our Black Friday sale. And last year, 2021, I kept kind of a sheet of sales that went on, what they kind of had on sale. So I started shopping the sales like they were gonna have the same exact sale before they happened. So when the sale did happen, I had a whole list of products ready to buy, loading up the shopping cart, you know, checking all that stuff out. And this does a couple things. Number one, a lot of people are just rushing around to the sale and they're like, oh, the sale's happening. What should I buy? What should I buy? And like, they're kind of panic going through stuff, or they're taking their time and trying to make the right buys. And sometimes by the time they do that, stuff's out of stock and you kind of miss out on an opportunity. I was pretty much able to get everything, or at least some of a little bit of everything that I wanted. There was definitely stuff that I wanted that sold out before I even bought it, but that's how it goes. But I probably wouldn't even really got any of that stuff if I wasn't prepared ahead of the time. So just knowing when sales are happening or keeping track of sales. Most sales happen sometimes once a month, every 6 weeks, every other month. Just be conscious of that and keep track. Always be looking through your ASINs of stuff that was profitable, then it falls out of profitability. Everyone's like, screw that product, the thing tanked. But when it does tank, it usually goes back up. So if you could catch it when it's kind of like just tanked, and most likely, if it's not just kind of like a price spike, it's kind of sells in that in the 90-day, it should go back up. Obviously, it's a case-by-case basis. So that's number one. Number 2, I spent a lot more money. I didn't really think that was the answer sometimes to a lot of this, but it turns out that is the answer. If you're trying to scale, you know, my biggest month besides this was, I think, 72K. So, you know, I think I spent almost like 30-ish thousand to do that. This, I think it was November. Was it November? I think it was November. We spent about $70,000 on inventory. So yeah, we just spent a lot more. That was double the most we've ever spent. Super scary, super uncomfortable. Again, I'm not suggesting I've leveraged credit to do this. I'm not always a big fan of doing that. I will say I did have money, not all of it to back it, but between bank accounts and basically Amazon payout, I pretty much could clear the balance if I had to. There's one point where that wasn't possible, but I don't know. I felt good about it and knew what I was doing. I don't say that's good advice, but it's your business. You have to do what you're more comfortable with. If I was just starting out, I would not do that. But knowing that everything I was buying, I've bought in the past and have a really good handle on how it sells and what to expect, I really thought it was more of not like that risky. So that was kind of a big one. I mean, yeah, spending that much money, it just became absolutely insane. And just kind of in my mind, I'm like, what is this? It doesn't go well. You know, what happens when this stuff doesn't sell? And it all worked out. A lot of the times when I've been the most uncomfortable spending lots of money or really upping the buys, you know, that's where I've grown the most. This time it worked out, and it's worked out in the past as well. So, you know, I'm not saying that's always going to be the case. I mean, it most likely will be if you have like a good track record or you know what you're doing. Again, just want to reiterate, I was buying a lot of stuff I already know I'm very comfortable with. I would have never did this on a bunch of random ASINs I've never sold before. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, spent a lot more money. That sounds super obvious, but it is what it is. I was stuck at like the 50K mark. I was spending maybe like 25-ish, 20, 30K a month to kind of get there. So yeah, now I think it seemed ridiculous, but now I could see the path to like 100K months. You probably got to spend like 50, 60 grand or so, and that should get you there. Obviously, it depends on what you're buying and selling and all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. Number 3, I did not send anything to a prep center. I prepped everything myself. It's hard to say whether this was a mistake or not because I kind of wasn't going to spend any more money. So I basically, after 70, I'm like, I'm done spending. In hindsight, I wish I spent more. And then instead of like spending this month, I would probably take this month off spending. So I kind of have that note for next year. But I don't know, like if I wasn't prepping, because I spent a lot of time prepping, you know, I don't know if it would have made a bigger difference because I wouldn't be spending capital. So what I'd be doing with that extra time, I'm not really sure, but who knows? It's hard to say. I like to think that getting it in as soon as it came in really helped numbers, and I think it did. But if I had to do this over again, I would definitely spend much, much heavier in October. You'll start to see sales pop up then, and there's usually one in like early November. I would spend probably double what I spent last year, send all that stuff to the prep center, and just shop sales selectively. Basically what I did was I shopped like the same sales like 3 or 4 times. If I had to do it all over again, I would just shop the first one and second one really heavy, let the prep center prep everything, and then kind of, I don't know, make a game plan based on that. So that definitely played a role in it, but this year, big goal is to not prep. So that was another thing I attribute to it. Number 4, I did not really get too distracted with social media, YouTube, all that stuff kind of took a hit. Just really focused on buying products, shopping sales, and prepping stuff. Next year, one of the plans would probably be to have like all content done but for Q4 and just have everything scheduled out. That's a ginormous task just thinking about it, but that's kind of what I might be doing. It's just, I don't know, if you don't create content, it's super time consuming. It takes a lot of focus and mental energy to kind of do this stuff, make valuable content, and make sure, you know, it makes sense and it's helpful. So I think really focusing, I didn't even look at any VA leads. That was another thing. And I don't know if that was really a mistake or not, but I was just so focused what I was buying. I knew the stores I wanted to buy from. I knew the types of products I wanted to buy. I just focused on that and getting it to Amazon as quickly as possible. So focusing, huge thing. To go with that, I didn't really do much but work. I went one kind of trip or weekend, was sourcing in the car, sourcing on the way back. Other than that, it was kind of just heads down. Like, this was the time to make money. I did. So, you know, when it's time, it's time. And yeah, that is kind of how I was able to do it. And so what were some bad things that happened from this, or what did I learn? Bad thing about this is I basically stopped spending money in December. They only spent about, I don't know, $15,000, I think, which is gonna make a tough January and February, just because I kind of got scared. I was like, wow, you know, you're kind of over leveraged here. Let's get a bunch of money back before we keep going. And yeah, so I might pay for that in January and February. A lot of this stuff, if you don't know, the work you put in or don't put in usually affects you about a month or two out. It's usually not instantly. Luckily, I still have a decent amount of inventory, not because it didn't sell, just because I bought a lot of good stuff, and check-in times and transfer times kind of did slow down towards the end of Q4. So I should be able to sell through some of that stuff. I'm starting to spend money again. So yeah, that's one of them. Number two bad thing, not really super sustainable, just based on how I did it. I did everything. I probably, who knows, could have done more if someone was either sourcing all of it and I was prepping all of it, or vice versa. So definitely something to keep in mind there, where, you know, I was able to spend all the money, but then I wasn't able to keep spending that same amount, you know, the next month. So that's kind of something I want to work on this year, is being able to consistently spend a certain amount of money, probably like 50, 60,000 a month. And then, you know, when it really makes sense, maybe like back to school and even Christmas, maybe, you know, really go harder, double that, or do whatever I think makes the most sense. So yeah, not really that sustainable. So yeah, and it also really opened my eyes to this year. I'm really gonna want to focus on kind of building more of a team. I just totally stopped talking or not talking, but communicating with the VAs, you know, which is kind of a not so great thing to do for like the last 6 weeks. Just, you know, sometimes you just have to focus on what you can focus on. So yeah, that was that. Another thing I would say is good thing, bad thing, but don't kind of, I think there was a lot of comparison that it's hard. Like, you see people going on about how they're crushing like a website or an item that they're buying, and kind of the FOMO that goes with that. I think this year I did a pretty good job of just playing my own game and just buying what I knew was going to be profitable and do well. But there is a flip side to that. There's definitely some stuff I knew that I could have bought but didn't, and it really panned out well for the people who bought it. So yeah, that is definitely a thing. But, you know, I think that was kind of good thing about that is you stay focused and you're not running around. And last year when I did this, I was running around with chicken, like, oh, Target's having a sale. Oh no, Walmart's having a sale. Oh no, GameStop's having a sale. Like, I was just all over the place, searching the sale for like 1 to 2 hours, jumped to the next one. This time around, I searched like maybe 3 or 4 sales, and that was it. And it just worked out. A way that I am looking to do this next year is to really get organized on when sales are going on, and really having a team of virtual assistants kind of go through those sales, maybe offer some incentive-based bonuses to kind of get them to generate, you know, or find more stuff. So a lot to play around with there. But overall, for me, it was a great first Q4 full-time online arbitrage. I was happy. I think could have done more. Obviously, I wish I did spend more. January tends to be good on Amazon, but the sales will dry up. Spending kind of dries up in February as well, but it's all good. There's always stuff to buy. Sometimes it's just easier to buy than others. So definitely kind of lesson learned there. You know, when the sales are good, make sure you shop them, and you know, pick a different time not to spend money when there really aren't that many sales. But lots of good lessons. Great Q4. I hope you guys had a good Q4. Let me know down below how your December went, what you learned. Join the Discord. We're doing coaching calls in there weekly. Me and the co-founder, Joe, Amazing Asins. He's on Instagram. I think he just started a YouTube channel. But yeah, I'll see you on the inside of the FBA inner circle, and I'll see you guys in the next video.